What's up, peep? This your boy Jay. I am back with another video. This time we are working on the 2003 Lincoln Town Car. I'm going to be swapping this alternator out here. This is a 6G alternator, which I switched from 4G alternator. You can look at my previous video on this 2003 Lincoln Town Car where I swapped out the alternator on that car. On this car from the 4G to the 6G here. And now we're going to be upgrading the amperage. This 6G alternator here is rated at 135 amps, while this 6G alternator is rated at 200 amps, as you can see that. 200 amp alternator here. And this alternator is specifically or only on Police Interceptor Crown Vics from 2004 to 2011. So you'll only catch these 200 amp alternators on Police Interceptors from 2004 to 2011. This one came off of a 2007. So I'm going to be swapping this alternator out, taking this 135 amp alternator here, and we'll be swapping it with this 200 amp alternator here. So as you can see, in order to make that happen, you take off the bolt here, which is for the alternator here, which I've already done, and it's secured so it doesn't touch anything because that's so hot. The first thing I did, I had to remove the belt. That was the first thing I did, was remove the belt. Now I'm going to be taking these bolts here off, taking the bolts off with the alternator bracket here. Just unloosen. I'm just undoing the bolts here on the bracket. Yeah, just undoing these bolts here on this bracket. Okay. I should be able to get these off by hand now. And you want to keep up with these bolts. You do not want to lose these. You want to keep up with these alternator bolts. You do not want to lose these. Okay, 2. 3. I'm going to set these over here on the ground so I know where they are. And 4. Now we just remove the bracket. Now we have to remove the 2 bottom bolts here, which are also 10mm bolts. And I'm going to try to do this with one hand. There we go. We're just going to loosen these bolts here. You don't have to take these all the way off. You just have to loosen these up. Just loosen these up enough to get the bracket, get the alternator off. You do not have to. Yeah, there it is. Get that back on. Yeah. As you can see, we should be able to remove the alternator. Oops, let's not forget the plug on the back here. Got to unplug it. This is difficult doing this over here. Let's see if I can get a little that right there. And there we have it. We should be able to remove the alternator now. Bam. We have that alternator off. Now we're going to put on our 6G 200 amp alternator. Stick that right on there. Like that. Sorry about that, guys. Forgot to Get that off. Bam. Let's see if our plug extends all the way over enough to plug it up. And it does. We'll have to undo this. Have to undo this here. Get that off. There we go. Now we can extend this. There we go. And there we have it. We have our 6G 200 amp alternator on the Lincoln Town Car. So now we put it back together now. I'm going to tighten these bolts back down here. Get in here. Tighten these bolts. Get back down. Now I'm going to tighten them all the way down yet. But just get in here and tighten that bolt back down. Make sure we get this nice and tight. I'm doing this with my one hand on the camera and while I'm recording so you guys can see this. Get the camera to focus. Perfect. There we go. Now we got that where we want it. Now let's get the bracket on. Let's line the bracket up. Line these bolts and everything up on the bracket. Okay, let's get that in there like that. Now let's get these bolts and everything lined up on the bracket. Then we'll tighten everything down. As you can see, get these bolts and everything fitted in. Bolts in there. Thread these nuts inside these holes. Okay. So we can line up the alternator bracket. Okay. Get that in there like that. Okay. And I'm going to go back over and tighten everything down. I'm gonna have to break this little piece here so we can get that to fit on there all the way. Just tighten these down by hand. Then we'll torque these down to specs. We'll torque them down. There we go. Torque these down here. You don't want to over tighten these because you don't want to break these in. I want to break these bolts off in the alternator. You don't want to tighten these too tight. Get another quarter turn. You're just doing that. There we go. Another quarter turn. Bam, perfect. Get over there. Tighten that up. Tighten that down. Quarter turn. Bam. Perfect. Now we got that on there. Now we just got to fix the belt on here, which is going to probably take 2 hands to do. It's going to take 2 hands here. So just bear with me, guys, as I set the camera right here. Just bear with me, peeps, while I put this belt on onto the alternator. Make sure that the belt is around all the grooves here. We got that on. Now we can finish tightening these bolts here. And like that. Now we have to fabricate this here so I can get the wire on there. So bear with me. Be right back, peeps. We'll grab this little piece here. Oh yeah, let's take this off real quick. Oh no, don't lose the bolt. Don't lose the bolt. Don't lose that alternator bolt. This to break some of this off. This little plastic piece so we can get the wire to seat all the way on here. Wire, these old things are banged up here. Yeah. See, we're replacing this alternator because the alternator that was just on here is bad. So now I'm just replacing the alternator. Now we're gonna tighten this down. Okay, let's get our 1/2 inch socket out. All right, let's get our 1/2 inch socket out. And there we go. Get our 1/2 inch socket here. And we can tighten this thing down right here. Perfect. Now, let's turn this thing on. See if we got any thing going on with it. Let's get inside the car. Battery might be low. Might have to charge it. Yeah. We have to jump to start this thing to get it to run. It needs to be jumped. So I'm gonna be jumping this thing off. But as you can see, peeps, there we have it. We did switch out the alternator here. We got the 6G 200 amp alternator that comes off the police interceptor on this 2003 Lincoln Town Car. It's very simple, just like the video that I showed you guys how to switch the wiring to put this on here. But there you have it, peep. This is your boy Jay. And as a matter of fact, I'll tell you what. I'll pause the video and I'll jump the car off and get it running so you guys can see it. Give me a second.